Okay, welcome back to Visual Fundamentals for digital media. So last week we looked at Adobe Illustrator. This week we're going to finally dive into Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver is Adobe's web design tool. Just a little bit of background, real quick. Adobe Dreamweaver started as Macromedia Dreamweaver. It was one of the products that was originally acquired by Adobe when they purchased Macromedia. Now, all of the different Adobe products are color coded, and Dreamweaver is green. DW is the little icon logo. Most of the Macromedia products that Dreamweaver acquired have been discontinued, and slowly over time, Dreamweaver is one of the only ones remaining. However, Adobe has created their own web design tool called Muse, which is also color coded green, MU. Another indication here that Muse and Dreamweaver are either going to fuse or Dreamweaver will be phased out in favor of Muse. So we will cover Muse in this class as well, but for right now, Dreamweaver is the default web creation tool, and it is the default professional web creation tool. There are a lot of WordPress sites out there, WordPress and some of the other easy bake web creation tools have popped up, but Dreamweaver still holds the market for professional web design tools. So I don't know by the time you get out or graduate if Dreamweaver's still going to be on top, being used, still supported by Adobe, but it looks like it probably will. So that's why we're going to spend a little more time on it than most of the other things we've talked about in here. However, because it may be discontinued by the time you graduate, we should also talk about Muse. But that's another week. Let's open Dreamweaver. And when you open Dreamweaver, for the first time, you'll get this welcome screen. And it has recent files, any files you have in Creative Cloud, a quick start button, and some templates. The main two buttons here are new and open. You can also look for files in Adobe stock images, and there's some videos about how to understand what a website is and what you can do with Dreamweaver or the new version of Dreamweaver. But let's go ahead and click New to open a new file. So we get new document. There's also starter templates and site templates. And then we can choose what kind of document we want. HTML is the basic type of file for the web, as we talked about in previous weeks. So that's what we'll do. And it asks us what we want to call it. I'm just going to call it test document. And then we can choose, again, what kind of file we want. We can even go with earlier versions of HTML, but we're going to stick with the default, which is HTML5. And we click Create, and it pops open a window. This is the default of where I had left it the last time, but it may open up to one of a few different looks for you. One is code. The code view just shows straight up the code. Now, here's one of the great things about Dreamweaver. It's already created some of the code for us. It's written the first 10 lines of code for us. There's the empty tag here that tells us the document type is HTML. Then the necessary tags we talked about when we were talking about HTML. HTML, which tells the web browser that it's a HTML document. The header, head, which contains the title, test document, which we typed in, so it's already got the title there, and then, of course, after that, the body. And it nicely separates them with a space here. So isn't that great? It's already written a bunch of the code for you, so you don't have to do much with it. You don't have to put in these. It just knows that if you're creating an HTML document, it better have a head and a title and a body. So there's some other views up here. You can also do split. Split basically gives you a split screen. On the left, we get the web page as it looks currently, and on the right, the code. And then there's some panels over here that we can look at. You can also change the view so that instead of being split vertically, you can choose split horizontally. So you have your web page above and your code below. I prefer horizontally, so we're going to go, or vertically, so I'm going to go back to that. Okay. Another mode you could have it in is design, and this is just the web page. A lot of people don't know anything about coding, and they do everything here in the right here in the design area. Our web page would have hello world in the top left corner like that. And then under design, there's this drop down. You can have it either in design or the live version of the design. Live basically has anything in here like hyperlinks and stuff like that active, so that just as you can view your web page exactly as it would appear or close to how it would appear in a web browser. We're going to go back to design, and we're going to go back to split. Now you can see that hello world is obviously supposed to be part of the body, and there it is. It put it right in the body for us as line 9 of the code. Incidentally, if you don't like seeing that welcome screen every time you log in, you can go to your preferences and uncheck where it says show start screen. I'm going to leave it there for the time being. Okay, so that's basically called the document toolbar up here. There's another toolbar, which basically if you right click in your design area, you can choose your paragraph formatting, list, font, style, CSS, templates, various different things. So basically, say I wanted to add a list here and say an unordered list and put test, test, test. And there we have a list of tests written and bulleted 3 times. I don't know why you would do that. Maybe this is only a test. As you can see, it's appeared in our code right here. Now, if we click anywhere in here, say highlight this test, it's highlighted over here in our code. The code also, the code window, you can see it automatically inserted P for paragraph for hello world and closed the tag. And it included UL and end UL, which is unordered list, and then each list item with LI and close the tag with LI. Now, what's interesting is if there's a mistake here in the code, say we've left off an angle bracket or maybe all of this, you'll see that there is no longer a down arrow next to HTML, which indicates that that is not complete. If we undo that and put it back in, you'll see there's that down arrow code. Again, if, say, the header's interrupted, say we forgot the letter A, you can see real easily there that there's a problem with this tag, and then you can find it and fix it. What's great is it highlights the opening and closing tag of anything. So if I click on body, the opening and closing tag of body are both highlighted. Title, whatever. Also, the text within can be changes color. If, for example, I am missing an angle bracket, it's no longer white. So that's an automatic color coding indication that there's something wrong with your code. Speaking of color coding, all of this text here is code is color coded. So it's all this cyan, light blue color for HTML. If you're working with a web page, say, that has multiple kinds of code in it, you can go to this color code picker down here and say you have C++++, and HTML and Java, and maybe you've got, some Perl script in there and some Python. You can have all of your different all your different languages in different color codes so that it's easy to see them, separate them, and work with your code. Also, another thing worth mentioning in this status bar at the bottom is you can also quickly choose what kind of platform you're developing for. So if you're doing for iPad or any of the versions of the iPhone or the Google Nexus, you have default sizes right there that you can choose. As you can see, we're doing full size, which is the default for a web page. Okay. So that's basically a quick look at the document toolbar, the standard toolbar, and the status at the bottom. So you may want to also take a look at the property inspector sometimes. Property inspector sounds like somebody's coming to look at a new home. But the property inspector is actually a window that has existed in Dreamweaver since the beginning. It doesn't appear unless you want it to. Basically, if you click on something like, let's highlight this is only, and we right click it, we see the property inspector, or we can go to window properties, or Apple F3, which is the Command F3 button. And that brings up this. This is actually a floating window. We can drag it wherever we want. And it gives us the properties of whatever is highlighted. Basically, whatever formatting it's in. Right now it's not formatted. Whether it's bold, italic, indented, whatever. So let's put only in bold, and this is in italics. And so that's a real quick way of doing that. And now you can see, now the HTML tags for bold and italic aren't what you'd expect. EM for emphasis is HTML's version of italics. They call italics emphasis. And HTML knows bold as strong. So slightly different language. Now, so that's basically the property inspector. And now we've looked at this toolbar at the top, and we talked about the standard toolbar and the status bar at the bottom. We should talk a little bit about these panels over here. So you got basically a couple of different panels. One down here, the this gives you the hierarchy of your page. So if we're on this line this is only a test, this list item, line 15, we can see over here it's highlighted. It's under HTML. It's not in the head, it's in the body. And basically, that each line here is a different part of the body. So it's a quick way to navigate through there if you're slightly more visual. Or if I want to go to the title real quick, I can click here and you'll see that the title is highlighted up here. Assets and snippets we'll talk about later. Files, if you want to bring in any files from your computer, you can go here, or you can choose where else you might want to bring it in from, say, your hard drive, or the network, wherever. There's also CSS Designer if you're working with CSS. We'll get into that later. CC Libraries, which if you have any assets in the Creative Cloud, or the Insert menu. The Insert menu is fairly handy. So we've got like this here, and let's say we want to insert after that. We've already got an unordered list. Let's insert an ordered list. And so there it puts in our ordered list. And so we can go ahead and add list items there. Say, when I start typing it in, this is it for those of you who want to hand code stuff. I type in LI for list item. It automatically puts in the /li closing it, so it knows that I'm going to do that. So saves you from having to type that in. So I can say open Dreamweaver, and then I could say hit return, put in li. It automatically puts in the close li, and I can say create a web page, and then go to the next line, add another list item, say save document, and then another list item, say close Dreamweaver. And so there we have our ordered list. And if I click over here, it'll appear here right as we would see it. So, and then if you really want to be neat about it, you can leave a space in between, a line of empty code, or, I like to do, say, HR. This is a tag that stands for horizontal rule, and it puts in a horizontal rule right across there. It's one of the tags that doesn't require a close tag. There's no, as you can see, it's not complaining about the fact that there's no angle bracket / end HR. You could put that in there, but it's unnecessary, because it already knows that if you've got a horizontal rule, it ends at the end of the right end of the page. There's nowhere else for it to go. So it automatically, the HR horizontal rule tag begins and ends before it goes on to the next line, which is our ordered list. Okay. So you can do handy stuff like add in an image, add in a table, your ordered list, your unordered list. You can hyperlink. So if I click on hyperlink, it asks me what link I want to put in, and the target, the title, etc. So it's really handy. And if, say, you want this to work more like a Microsoft Word document, you want all this stuff handy right at the top, you can just grab it, drag it over here, and drop it there. And now you have all of your little options up here to do your unordered list, your ordered list, add in your hyperlink, just like you would see in a Word or some other program. I believe in Blackboard we have these at the top of our boxes, basically the ability to click on an icon to add in an image. So basically, yeah, it's pretty handy. I can then go to, I can decide that I want, right at the top here, drop down, add in an image. I'll go to my, what did we have last week? We had, let's see, was that, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure where that image is right now. I was going to throw in our cat girl image from a week ago, but I'm not seeing it there. Oh, there it is, cat girl. And then, boom, there's our cat girl image from before. You can drag these out as if what you're working with is too big or too small. And this is a Wysiwyg editor, so I can actually, grab and do stuff like that. Wysiwyg is short for what you see is what you get. Wyswig, Wysiwyg. So basically, what I do here is kind of what the web page is going to look like. That's what it would look like as a web page. Let's go back to our design menu. So there's our cat girl. Basically, there we go. We've got a web page. I can go ahead and highlight this, and I can, decide to make this our header. Make it nice and big. I can center that if I want, So basically, whatever I want to do here to create the web page, we can go back in here and change our background color, all of those things using our code window over here, or we can drag and drop stuff around over here. Say I don't like where this is, I can drop it down to below. This is the thing, though, it's a little bit difficult to navigate around here. So, if I wanted it there, or sometimes it's just easier to go over to your coding window and add in what you want. If I wanted that horizontal rule below the image, like so, I could do that. Or maybe I want one above and below. Yeah, I think that would look good. So I can do that, and then voila, we've got our horizontal rule above and below. Basically, that's Dreamweaver in a nutshell. If we were to save this, we'd go File, Save,